All right. Good morning. Good morning. It is 6:31. It is February 17th. It is Tuesday. Hope everyone had a great day off yesterday. Did some things to make them happy, to feed the brain and get yourself together. Nice long weekends don't happen that much. It's always good when the market's closed. So this way you're not like looking over your shoulder thinking you're missing something or not. And with that being said, market's been pretty vulnerable since October. Tech has been kind of under pressure. One by one, names have been getting bent, some broken. Lots of names below the 8 and 21 day. Things aren't falling apart. You do have the energy and industrials that were stronger, but most of the names that have worked for the past multiple years haven't been special. And we like to be in stocks that are special. If you look here at the chart of the Qs, you have this range. I was just talking to a bunch of guys, like literally since October, we were in the same exact, actually lower. So October, what is that? November, December, January, February, for 4 months, grindy action where you had a false breakout, and then here you had the breakdown. And what do we know now? You have an inside wedge broken to the downside. So we're going to simplify it this week. Friday, if you remember here, the last time you had a breakdown, we came back up pretty fast. This time, it got rejected. So did the SPYs. I think it's easier to see on the SPYs, and stayed below. So the longer we stay below 606, if you're short and you think we're going to go down, and you think we're going to go test the 200-day or break this range, what has to happen? You got to stay below 606. If it gets back above 606, home on the range. We're back at the range. If it stays below this, you have 596 from Friday, then 594. You break 594, 76, 596. There's a decent amount of room. There's 10 points of room where there's nothing going on here until the 200-day. The Qs right now are down 450, so it's going to be, it's going to test Friday's low. Do we break it? I'm not sure. All I know is that, mega cap tech has not been the place to be. It's been very tactical. It's been very, right place, right time. That's it. You could see more on the SPYs here. The SPYs, last time we came down to the 675, 676 on that Friday. Remember, they squeezed the Jesus out of people right back to the upper end of the range where it made it look like, maybe we're going higher. And then look what happened again. So are we going to just continue going back and forth in this range, or are we going to get some resolution? I'd rather get some resolution. I'm risk down. I've had a bleed with a lot of different options on. I haven't been carrying positions for a little while. I've been trying to test things. So for me, I'd rather just see better action. Let a waterfall happen, let lower prices happen, and then we'll see what goes on. So same kind of thought, like you have 684 to 686. That's what got rejected on Friday. So it stayed in the lower end of this channel. So the question is, do we break 677 or 660, 675? If we do, you have the low from December 17th, and then you have the lower end of this range. If you look here, on the weekly, which I showed you guys on Friday, you'll see that, hey, everyone's complaining about the action, and here we are. So this is 675. This is still just your upper channel. We break this upper channel, hey, maybe we could see 662, but you got to get below and stay below 675 for that to happen. Otherwise, people have thought that would happen already. It's just in this range. So 675. If we do see 662-ish, would be 5% off highs. Then I think about doing the blood in the street account. Then I think about potentially, putting that account, which is one of the accounts I have long-term, into the market. But anyway, so this is the weekly chart gives you a really good visual versus the choppy daily chart, which has been, not the easiest to. Listen, I know guys trying to be short. It hasn't been easy to be short either. One of my worst days was this day, because I came in pretty damn short, thinking that we weren't going to hold the 675. So it's it's not easy either which way. But again, it's a new week. We're going to stack some days. I come in with risk down. Question is, does Friday's low hold? Hey, maybe things go red to green today. You have Iran negotiations happening. Maybe that goes better than feared. You have, I think, Russia and Ukraine talking. So if all of a sudden we get some resolution to those things, could pop right back into the range. So you can't. It's not like you can be an all-in short anyway. Also, anyway, let me say hello to some of my dogs around the world. We have someone's asked me if I like LAC. LAC. People keep bringing that up. Like, what's LAC doing today? Is there news that it's down a penny? What are you talking about? Anyway, VIX is looking strong. That's true. Mister, no more X. So some are asking me, why isn't X playing the on demand? I don't know. All I know is if you're here watching live, you could watch it live on Instagram, on Twitter, right? Conrad, could they see it on Twitter live right now? Okay, Conrad's watching it live. He's my right-hand man. You can subscribe to YouTube T3. It goes through that way also. But anyway, so that's that. What's been a little stronger? The IWM's been a little stronger. That has to continue. So you want to make this simple also. This is a 258. Will 258 hold, and will money stay in some of the small caps, because it's obviously not in mega cap tech. So does money continue to hide here while the market's correct or not? So this is what the IWM looks like. If you remember, we were down here. This is when they had the pro gap to get this sequence started. So in order for this to stay special, here's your 50-day. It's got to hold 258-ish, and then there's 255. So for this morning, let's see, what's the IWM doing? It's only down 70 cents. It's still showing relative strength. So the best thing about a corrective phase is it gives you clues on what's the next 10, 20 stocks you want to put in a portfolio approach for, the next active sequence to the upside. What do I mean by that? I mean, like, just say the SPYs go to the 200-day. Just say the SPYs go to the 200-day, and you're looking at a name that doesn't get below the 50-day. That stock that went to the 50-day while the indices got to the 200-day, that's showing relative strength. Chances are that's a stock you want to own when the market turns up. If it's at the 21-day, even better. So that's why you want to think clearly, and you want to, watch the names that you love, because there are a lot of great looking names, or names that could act awesome in the next 6 months, but you got to get through the next 2 to 4 weeks. So we'll see. Yeah, so everyone's saying the XLE. Okay, yeah, the XLE has been a great trade. I went over this in December many times, and I actually made some good money up until about here. So I missed this last portion of it. So if you think the 8-day, which has been the trend of the XLE, is going to hold, you better make sure this is front and center. You better make sure you're watching Chevron, you're watching XOM, you're watching Schlumberger, you're watching Halliburton, Marathon, all that whole group. Or you just say, I'm going to buy the XLE every time it hits the 8-day, or maybe even give it to the 21-day. But for right now, the XLE it's up 77 cents. So you're not taking any. Look at the XLE's up 77 cents. And the Qs are down 440. What's better to be in? What's above the 8-day? The XLE. What's breaking lower and showing weakness? That is the Qs. So, maybe if you're really that good, you're short the Qs and you're long the XLE, and you're a long short hedge fund. Probably not. You're a prop trader. Don't try and play what you're not. But anyway, Iran has shut down part of the Strait of Hormuz. Okay. Yeah, so listen, XLE is acting very well. So long as it holds the 8-day, the 8-day is right here, 53. That could be your stop, or you got to give it a little bit more room. But ultimately, this has been a very strong trend. Mega cap tech is not. Somebody's like, Red Dog, why'd you get stopped out of Google? I got stopped out of Google because I thought perhaps it could hold the 50-day, and it didn't. So I got stopped out, right? This is the trade. So people say, Red Dog, where do you put your stops on your active swings? I put it where the trade changes. Hey, is Google going to be special because it's one of the only good Mag 7s or not? And then Google right here, I didn't wait for it, for confirmation. Once it broke this 317, I sold it, right? Is it no longer holding the 50-day? Plus, it had an inside wedge to the downside. Some people made money short. Some of my friends are short Google. I'm just out of the way. Anyway, it went as low as what? 303.71. That's your new point of reference. Here's the 100-day. And so this was your out when it broke here. You only need to be long a name like Google when it's acting special if you trade for a living, right? Apple also. I thought Apple was great. Then all of a sudden, I'm on my way to Fox Business. Someone's like, "Hey, they're putting Siri, on hold, or they're pushing it out a few months." And then all of a sudden, some news that Huawei was having good sales, and I broke 271. Let me ask you a question. Looks like a good bull flag up here, and then the trade changed where? 271. So I sold. I got out. Lost a little bit of money, but would you have lost a lot more if that were the case? Yeah. If you bought more the whole way down, saying it's Apple, you would have got your clock cleaned also. Anyway, what's the low here? 255.45. Here's 255.45. So now you can be tactical. Like maybe it trades below 255.45 and reclaims it. So maybe you can make money there. Maybe it wants to hold 252, but these are two different types of trades, not an active upper bull flag that can go higher. That trade's off the table. Yeah, Jesse Jackson died. Yeah. So did yeah. Listen, that's why I say every day above ground is a good day, right? You never know when your number's gonna be called. And by the way, be careful watching the Kennedy story. I just started watching the Kennedy story with with my wife, and I didn't realize a lot of it's around how Jackie O died too, and my mom passed away in June. So all of a sudden I'm like crying watching what should have been a love story. Anyway, yeah. So the other strong names are SanDisk, MU, and STX and WDC. So that's an interesting group. Will that group stay one of the strongest groups, or will that end? So that's worth noting. MU, if MU's like, so let's frame this trade, okay? MU right here, the low is 386. MU's been acting better than most names. MU is a candidate to go from red to green today. So if you're not an MU, this is something you watch that if the market's going to hold in there today, it should be able to hold 386 or 392, right? So this is the way I would do it, and I might even buy it today. I'm not an MU. I'm very risk down right now. So if you think it's going to go red to green, which it could, it's got to hold 392, and this is 386. If you're in it and think MU is going to stay special, right now it's down 9. Okay, you'd say, hey, as long as MU holds 386, which is the 21 day, not even the 50 day, you're going to stay long it. If it were to break this, then it's not as strong as you thought, and chances are you got to get it out of the way because there's nothing down to 363. So the way I would frame this trade is if MU, SanDisk, and the memory storage area is going to be awesome, and it's going to pay you to sit there and massage it and not cause you a lot of stress, then this is what it should hold. It should hold 392 or 386. Right now, it's at 401. So it's you have a little bit of give there, but watch it. So if the market goes lower in the first 15 minutes and MU doesn't go down, maybe you could buy MU for it to go red to green. If the market bounces and it doesn't bounce, then hey, maybe it's playing catch up to the downside. But what you should do is you should have it up as a group together. MU, then you have SanDisk, right? It's part of that group. And then what else is part of that group? You could say Western Digital. So you should have these names together to see how the group moves together. So if you want to do the same thing for SanDisk, go to SanDisk. Okay, this low here is, what is this? That's 575. This low here is 586. So let's go 586, right? If SanDisk is going to be special, if it's going to make it easier and profitable for you to sit in it, then those are the levels that should hold. If SanDisk is going to join the party to the downside, because there's a party to the downside in tech, well, then it's got to break 586 and 575. And right now I just showed you SanDisk is at 613. So that means there's a lot of room between 613 and 586 if that's going to happen. So SanDisk and MU are still showing relative strength to the Qs and to the other names, so it should be there. JR called SanDisk 1,000. Okay, well, hopefully JR is in there. Hopefully JR is making money, and hopefully he's doing a great job with you guys, and he does a great job, so great. Yes, GP Gary says NBIS was strong on Friday. I like that thought. I probably will look there today to see if I could buy this to go red to green. Okay, so this did break out. I could see why some people are in it. I played this, actually I played this on Thursday, made really good money when it went green. So now this high here for NBIS is what, 100? Let's put this here. This is 132, 132, 100.32. That is definitely a momentum proprietary set of rules to follow. Okay, right? NBIS had earnings and went green, had a good follow through. They held while the market came in. So let's go to NBIS. It's down $1.74. Okay, so let it put a low in, let the market go lower, let it hold up, give you a signal to buy it, and NBIS, that looks something that's better than other things. This should be on the higher end of your list. Someone said, what about iron? Iron is holding. You had your red dog reversal here. It's hanging in there. I would think, it's worth a look today. I'm going to look at iron today. Iron's one of the names that have made me a lot of money last year. It's one of the names that I made a lot of money here too. And then it's changed. It's below the 8-day. It's trying to base here. This is what? This is 39.52. So we'll see. Does iron hold 39.52? It's definitely on my list. And it's something that I'm not in this second, but I wouldn't mind getting in. And this is something that could be one of the names to go to once the market gives a little bit more clarity that you could put a risk on. This one too. See, this is actually getting a little bit better. Recently, let's see, CIFR. All right, how come it's not coming up? Give it a second. Let's give it a second. CRWD coming out of a dip. All right, MU building mega factory in Idaho. Yes, it is. Yeah, light's been really good. All right, so here, okay. So lately, this name's been acting even a little bit better than iron. I would put this name with iron together in a spot, okay. And you could say as long as this holds 15, it's going sideways. And at some point, when leaders want to lead or stocks want to act better, this will clear this area. And when it does, you want to make sure you're involved. A lot of institutions are saying the stock is going to be well above 25 in the next year. How it gets there, it's our job. So right now you have 1270 and 15. This name is a name to watch. When the market comes in though, and if we're going to stay below 686 in the SPYs and break 675, chances are everything's going to be a little bit pressured. What you want to do is you want to see the charts build if there's pressure in the broader indices. So this to me is something to watch. NBIS, CIFR, iron are three names that I would love to be part of my portfolio approach when the market says you can get paid to have a portfolio approach. But right now it's not saying that. ASTS, another name that was really super duper great to us. Okay, but it changed. Red dog reversal here at 124. Sold on strength all the way down. Did a big money raise. The question is, will this hold 79.89 or is it going to see the 200-day? This is another name that I think will make us money down the road long when the market's ready for that, not right now. This was when it was a long. This was when it was awesome. This is when it was above the 8-day, the 21-day, and gave you a move to the top. So now we'll see, does this hold or will it see a lower leg? Chances are if the SPYs are going to break 675, this is going down towards the 200-day. So you want to be careful. Same thing with a name like ONDS. ONDS has got cut in half because these names have all been. So, but that's also a name you want to put on your go-to list, right? Get that go-to list. Get it going. Watch it. Don't fucking, excuse my French, go underneath the rug and hide because you long too many things that you never stopped yourself out on. Anyway, Rocket Lab is the same thing as ASTS, except for a little weaker. And right now, TrendSpider's acting a little slow, so we might have to end it over here. Let's see if the trend. Oh, there it is. So here too, will this hold? This is 832, right? This low here is 870. So some are saying, hey, Red Dog, that could be a double bottom in ONDS. I hear you. This had great report, great conference call, great everything. But guess what? The market wasn't in a mood. They sold strength. This is when it broke your inside range at $12. If you got out of 12, chances are you didn't have to hold it to 8. From 5 to 8 and change, it's definitely more interesting. But guess what? It's still below the moving averages. It's still in a rebuild stage. It should be on a list that you're watching to see when it starts acting better than the indices, and then you could accumulate and go with it. Amazing how fast and hard they correct. That's true. That's why you use the 8 and 21 day, right? It broke the 8 and 21 day right here. Here it's gorgeous. It's above it. It's going to, it stopped at 15, extended, and then it was, will it hold here or not? And guess what? This was the day on January 29th should have been your out if you were, professional active trader, or a prop trader that gets paid for January or February. That's why they do trade. Yeah, Oakland, same thing. Wasn't this awesome? And then red dog reversal top, lower highs all the way down. I think the last time I traded this was to start the year, went to here, and then I stopped. And obviously there's a time and place for all this stuff. So anyway, with that being said, let's see how it goes today. Simplify it. Do the active bears. The active ones have enough kazoots to keep us below 684, 686 this week. Will we get it? Maybe there's a quick trade. You have to take these trades. Maybe there's a quick trade. Maybe there's spies that are at 679. Maybe it wants to hold 677 today, and you could buy it to go red to green. Could be the first trade, and then you see it stall out. Then you see names don't go with it. Then you take that trade and say it's 950. I just made a few $1,000s, and then you see what the next trade is. Got to take the trades. Got to respect the money right now because the money's hard to find, at least for guys that I've been hanging out with. All right, Blair. I'll see you at on the Alpha team. I'm going to be going to the Alpha team soon. Just remember, there hasn't been an on-demand version of this. So if you missed it, you missed it. Michael Camus, my boy Mike, just entered the studio. So if you want to go to the T3 Live YouTube channel, you can watch it on demand there. And listen, let's stack some days. Stay positive. These type of phases happen. If you're frustrated for the last 6 weeks, you know what? How many weeks are there in a year? Right now it's February 17th. If you're not where you want to be, what are we in month 2? You have 10 more months. You make your money 3 times a year, usually depending on the action. You make your bones usually 3 times a decade, and then you have to, make it, keep yourself honest the rest of the time. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully the X issue will be solved. Until then, if your friends are like, oh, I missed a 6:30 club, where do I watch it? Send them to T3 Live to the YouTube channel. And I'll also try and post a few more charts, or go to the Alpha team. Join up to the Alpha team. You'll see 40 charts. I'm there all morning long, not just 20 minutes. Have a great day. I appreciate you.